about to begin the first Fireside chat of Day 1 of 5th edition of BBB International Expo and Summit. We request everyone sitting in the last rows to kindly come forward and occupy the seats in the front rows. Thank you so much. We also request everybody to kindly switch off your mobile phones so that we don't disturb the speaker. It's going to be one interesting fireside chat on Changemakers, Indian Army in Green and Life Transition. We are going to have a very special video, of course, so we request your attention. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now commencing the first fireside chat on Changemakers, Indian Army in Green and Life Transition. I request Colonel Rohit Dev, our moderator, to kindly join us on stage. Please put your hands together for Colonel Rohit Dev. This is going to be one interesting fireside chat. Can we have some energy because we are going to talk about Indian Army, and we request everybody to kindly come and occupy the seats in the front row. Thank you. Can we have the slide of Indian Army? We'll have movie later. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing personality amidst us. We have with us Major General S. Suraj, VSM, Additional Director, General of Supplies and Transport, Fuel and Transport. Sir is a senior military logistics professional with extensive experience in logistics and supply chain management, bulk petroleum logistics, and strategic mobility support in the Indian Army. In his present role, he is responsible for provisioning, planning, procurement, distribution, and post-contract management in respect of fuels, oils, lubricants, and greases, ensuring uninterrupted availability of petroleum products that underpin operational readiness across diverse terrains and climatic conditions in the vast area of responsibility of the Indian Army. The General Officer is an alumnus of the National Defence Academy, Defence Services Staff College, College of Defence Management, and Indian Institute of Public Administration. He has undergone a wide range of professional and technical courses related to strategic planning and operational logistics management. His academic qualifications include MSc in Defence and Strategic Studies, Master of Management Studies, MPhil in Social Sciences, and PG Diploma in Public Administration, providing him with a strong grounding in organizational leadership, strategic planning, and policy analysis. He is well regarded for his contribution towards process optimization, systems-based logistics planning, and operational risk management and mitigation, having held key appointments in many crisis situations throughout his career, with as Brigadier Army Service Corps ASC in support of troops deployed on the line of control and in counter-insurgency, counter-terror operations in Kashmir during the tumultuous times of Pulwama attack, abrogation of Article 370 and COVID, and later as Major General, he was responsible for maintaining almost 40% of Indian Army troops deployed in the area of responsibility of Northern Command, including during Operation Sindoor. For his distinguished service and sustained professional excellence, he has been awarded Vishisht Seva Medal, VSM, and GOC-INC Commendation Card. Through his current responsibilities, Major General Suraj brings practical and strategic insights from managing one of the most complex institutional fuel and transport ecosystems in the country, with a focus on energy security, efficient material management, strategic procurement, safety and regulatory compliance, risk management and mitigation, shift to alternate energy forms, and sustainability in logistics operation. He also plays a key role in supporting the Indian Army's logistics transformation initiatives, developing synergy with oil marketing companies, civilian organizations in alignment with Gati Shakti and other national initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Major General Suraj Sripuram from Indian Army. Sir, we request you to kindly come forward and join us on stage for the first Fireside chat on Changemakers, Indian Army in Green and Life Transition. And now I request the team to kindly play a special video for all of us. Thank you.
प्रकृति संग सेना, सुरक्षा भी, संरक्षण भी। भारतीय सेना न केवल देश की रक्षा करने में तत्पर है, बल्कि हमारी प्राकृतिक धरोहर की भी संरक्षक है। सबसे ऊंची सीमाओं से लेकर सबसे घने जंगलों तक भारतीय सेना देश की पर्यावरणीय सुरक्षा को मजबूत करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। देश भर में वनीकरण अभियानों का नेतृत्व करते हुए सेना ने एक पेड़ मां के नाम पहल के तहत 75 लाख से ज्यादा पेड़ लगाए हैं। इकोलॉजिकल टास्क फोर्स ने 10 करोड़ से अधिक पौधे लगाकर 94,000 हेक्टेयर भूमि को पुनर्जीवित किया है। सेना के स्टेशन जीवंत बायोस्फीयर के रूप में कार्य करते हैं। संरक्षण अनुसंधान को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए भारतीय सेना पर्यावरण, वन और जलवायु परिवर्तन मंत्रालय के साथ अथक प्रयास कर रही है। सैन्य नागरिक अनुसंधान सहयोग को मजबूत करने के लिए भारतीय सेना प्रमुख वैज्ञानिक संस्थानों के साथ कार्यरत है। पोखरण में सेना वाइल्ड लाइफ इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडिया के साथ मिलकर ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड के संरक्षण में सहायता कर रही है। भारतीय सेना प्रमुख स्वच्छता अभियान का नेतृत्व करते हुए राष्ट्रीय अभियानों और वैश्विक पहलुओं का अवलोकन कर सामुदायिक जिम्मेदारी का निर्माण करती है। डीकार्बनाइजेशन की दिशा में सेना की प्रगति निर्णायक है। 68 सौर परियोजनाएं अब 91 मेगावाट से ज्यादा स्वच्छ ऊर्जा उत्पन्न कर रही है और प्रधानमंत्री सूर्य घर मुफ्त बिजली योजना के तहत अग्रसर है। चुशुल में एक हरित हाइड्रोजन माइक्रोग्रिड 24 घंटे नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा प्रदान करेगा। सेना नई चार्जिंग सुविधाओं और इलेक्ट्रिक बसों के साथ इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों की ओर तेजी से बढ़ रही है। माननीय रक्षा मंत्री के निर्देशानुसार सैन्य छावनियों के आसपास नागरिक क्षेत्रों में स्वच्छता, जन जागरूकता और सतत अपशिष्ट प्रबंधन को बढ़ावा देने हेतु व्यापक अभियान चलाए गए। सक्षम व्यक्तियों के लिए आत्मसम्मान, आत्मविश्वास और सहयोगपूर्ण वातावरण सुनिश्चित करने हेतु सुविधाएं विकसित की गई हैं। भारतीय सेना के सेवानिवृत्त सैनिक भी पर्यावरण की सुरक्षा में योगदान देने के लिए अतुल्य गंगा जैसे मिशन में भाग ले रहे हैं। संरक्षण, नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा, सामुदायिक सहभागिता और सतत प्रथाओं के माध्यम से भारतीय सेना राष्ट्र और पर्यावरण दोनों की संरक्षक है। प्रकृति संग सेना, सुरक्षा भी, संरक्षण भी।
Thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we think a lot, we do a lot, but there is an organization called the Armed Forces which silently keeps working. One can say that with conviction because we never knew the outside world, we just kept doing what we thought was correct. And in that, if you corroborate what Prime Minister Modi said in COP26 about the life concept, anybody knows what life concept is? Sure, only the full form, okay? Okay, so life for environment plus being mindful of utilizing the resource, the crunch she was describing earlier, and also, trying to do things for protecting environment internally. And that is what the armed forces do, and you just saw a little bit of snapshot of what they do. Without much ado, I would request General Suraj Sripuram to give us a short address before I take on a few interactive questions with him.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, thank you, Rohit, for inviting me to this forum. And rather, I would like to compliment you for also thinking of the Indian Army when you conceptualize this thing. Because I believe we can be catalysts of change and also lead by example. Certain qualities which are embodied in us are those of discipline and a vision for contributing to the nation's cause. So in that said, if there is anything that we take up, I think we take it to its logical conclusion. And we also started giving a little intro of how we do things, what we do in the social media. So I feel what we do also can have an impact. So that is number one. Second, heading the fuel and transport vertical in such times in the world actually has given us a lot of exposure to what's happening around. And I and my staff, we've been attending various events all around the country, such as the India Energy Week and others, looking to collaborate with various academia, industry and others. And while I'm talking, it will also be my pitch to our friends, civilian friends here from the academia, industry and all other walks of life to collaborate with us and co-create customized solutions for the Army. So when we talk of energy security, it has a bearing on Indian Army or the armed forces in general with respect to our op readiness and efficiency, needless to say. I would also like to say that this is the right time to probably hold this conference because the West Asia crisis just erupted in the end of February, not giving any advance warning or lead time, and it gave a rude shock to the whole world, mighty or small. And we have seen the cascading effects that it has had on various countries. So it is worthwhile before we move ahead to see what lessons it brings forth for us with respect to energy security and how we can move ahead. First and foremost, of course, is import dependency. As you're all well aware, 80 to 85% of our country's crude requirements are imported, most of it coming from the sea lanes of communication, which are now impacted through the Strait of Hormuz closing down. So, first and foremost thing that comes to our mind is diversification of supplies. And it's not just that, but we also need to address the structural dependence through lowering the demand and increasing the domestic options that we have. Diversification also has to be paired with route redundancy. We find more and more new routes and storage buffers. What has come, I think, glaringly in front of us is the fact that we need to increase our strategic reserves of petroleum and crude and other essential commodities. Otherwise, we'll have to look for alternate solutions too soon when any crisis erupts. Next thing I want to highlight is resilience. So I feel this energy security is about three-legged, which includes efficiency on the demand side, thereafter diversification of sources, and substitution, which is where this conclave has a big role to play, that is finding alternates in terms of non-renewable energy. You got your wind, solar, biomass and all that. So we need to make energy transition not only a climate goal, but also as a plank of national security, as it were. And energy security also now needs to become an integral part of macro policy. No ministry can now work in silos because we have seen that this crisis has thrown up challenges wherein our current account deficit has been affected, our fiscal policies, the various policies that we have for rebates and subsidies, everything has got impacted. So the second and third order effects of all this has to always be borne in mind before we go ahead and plan what we have to. And energy security, to my mind, has to now come about as a roll-on plan. It has to be a multi-decadal plan, and I strongly feel that whatever plan we make should withstand change in leadership, change in governments, or other global things, because this is an ongoing process and budget intensive, capital intensive. So we need to stick to a plan and go ahead with it. Now a little word about our own Indian Army's logistics setup. We have by far the most unique land borders with contested borders on the northern and western frontiers. The terrain is so varied, ranging from riverine terrain up to mighty mountains, greater Himalayas, and high altitude regions. And we have no choice but to man these areas 24/7. So with this come multiple challenges. So when we talk of energy security, for example, if my fuel reaches, say, Leh, it's not the end of it. From Leh, it has to go in smaller kinds of transport to a forward base. There it gets transshipped onto porters, mules in smaller containers, and that reaches the forward post. Now, as a logistician, what I look at is, can I find an alternative wherein each of these sectors is self-contained, they have their own integral source. So decentralization of energy security is also what comes to us staring in the face most of the times. To overcome all these challenges, what do? We have certain stocking policies, we create redundancies, we have a system of advanced winter stocking, because we have certain sectors which get cut off for 6 months in a year after the snow falls. So how do you maintain them? And while being there, cut off from the rest of the country, they also need to be operationally ready. So these are multiple challenges that face us, Same way, there are areas which are affected by heavy monsoons, like North Sikkim is already getting affected this year by the incessant rains. So monsoon stocking. So we plan our logistic hubs in such a way that each one is capable of sustaining the force that is depending on it in any operational contingency. So energy security is very much an integral part of our logistic plans all the time. So while I've explained our whole gamut of things, so while it is strong, but it is extended, resource intensive, and presently we are predominantly dependent on fossil fuels. That is something we need to change, and that's where I feel our biomass, bioenergy will play a larger role as we go ahead. Now a word about the theme, Indian Army going green. So we are also on board the ESG journey and in line with all the national policies and contributing our bit to Viksit Bharat 2047. That said, I'll just go over a few initiatives that we have taken. First was the Apshisht Mukt Sainya Abhiyan, which we launched in October 23, wherein we are consciously trying to look at eco-friendly ways of waste disposal and organizing our solid waste management practices and also disposal of garbage. Everything has been planned and we are in alignment with the solid waste management mission of the government of 2016. We also came up with a policy 3 years ago for transition to electric vehicles. So it is a phased transition, and I'm happy to say that our first phase has already succeeded. We have brought in electric buses and we've gone in for electric cars now. Maybe in a couple of years when the manufacturers are ready, the electric motorcycles are also on the anvil. And next is transition to alternate fuels, biodiesel. We have already done the pilot and coming year we're going to transition to that. Then E20, the Army has completely rolled out and we have transitioned to E20 completely. Then next is, as I was talking about decentralized energy centers, so we have already established a green hydrogen project in the high altitude regions ahead of Leh in collaboration with NTPC. Similarly, in North Sikkim, which is on the eastern frontiers, along with IITs, we have set up a mega solar power plant to power the region and reduce the dependency on fossil fuels. We have also gone in for some technology demonstrators. We are operating a hydrogen bus as a pilot for the last 2 years. It is working fine. But of course, the supply side and the logistic sustenance for that bus is still yet to formalize all over the country itself. And then we are going to start with LNG trucks, load carriers. We are signing an MOU with Ashok Leland shortly. So we'll see how that works. All this is with an aim to transition to these modes in the years to come once the ecosystem is ready. Same way, we are looking at other such options. Our ecological TA battalions, that is the territorial army, they're doing wonderful service all over the country. You keep getting to read about their work in ecology conservation all over. One good example which I can also give is that our new army headquarters, the Thal Sena Bhavan, already officially known as the Shaurya Bhavan, has come up completely as per Griha 4 norms with sustainable energy saving practices and various other things. So we are trying to walk the talk, as it were. We found one captive resource, which is compressed biogas. Where there is a large population, I think the feedstock for compressed biogas is also easily available. So we have collaborated with various oil marketing companies who are our partners in energy security. The draft project reports are almost ready, and we should be rolling them out this year. Another initiative which we have gone ahead in a big way is transition to PNG in all our military stations which are in the towns and cities. We are transitioning to PNG in a big way. So that is another initiative that we are taking. Other than this, our collaborations with various think tanks and academia like IIT, etc., and PSUs is ongoing. A little word about the life transition, which Rohit has nicely coined, that is for living for environment transition. So all these initiatives which I have listed, we are consciously going towards energy conservation, fuel conservation, eco-friendly practices, and so what have you. In fact, we have an annual competition between our military stations wherein solid waste management forms a very, very major chunk of that whole competition. This is just to foster the feeling of contribution to the country. As I said, we would like to lead with example. Moving ahead, I feel most important in all these initiatives is education and awareness of each and everyone, especially citizens. If each citizen understands his role in this whole process, that's when I think we'll have long-lasting results, and there'll be a sea change in everything. So, as I've said, our military effectiveness in future is going to largely depend not just on advanced weapon systems or equipment, but also on resilience and sustainability of the energy systems that back it. So to this end, we are willing to work with all stakeholders, as I've said, and also be a huge contributor to India's vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. As I said, I appeal to my civilian friends here to come up with customized solutions for us, collaborate with us, and co-create as we go ahead. That's all from me. Thank you so much for a patient hearing. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We generally don't question our seniors in the military and even government service, but I have a responsibility today, sir, to ask you questions. So the first thing is around what you were mentioning about the compressed biogas and the waste competition. That caught my eye. So there is a lot of military infrastructure which I think is up for grabs unless we utilize. Somebody is going to eye it. That's my perception. But seeing from a different perspective, there is too much of waste being generated, and the prospect of enabling India's decentralized, small segmented CBG growth can be taken on by the military, because most of the cantonments, especially the army, are in belts where you can support industry very close to you, but you also have a rural connect where you are located. So to make up for your own waste, you have other biomass available in vicinity. So how do you see this as a concept for infrastructure transition of the Indian Army to support waste to energy and compressed biogas projects?
So our idea of going in for CBG in a big way actually came up from a visit to the R&D centers of Indian Oil Corporation, the HPC and BPCL. We found that they had made minor pilot projects of these CBG plants. So when we inquired and we got into it, we found that we have a captive resource. Like Delhi, we got almost about 20,000 troops here, officers, and then they are distributed into number of pockets. The while the solid waste management is there, but most of the waste is being carried in vehicles and put it in the dump yards outside the town. So that's of no use. And all these dump yards are actually generating methane, but right thing at the wrong place. So that's when we spoke to them, and we are entering into collaboration, wherein in our land, they're going to establish, so the capital is theirs, and we are working to make an MOU, and we have a revenue sharing model. We either monetize that gas which we produce, or we ourselves use it and pay for it. So this is the way. So we have identified 3 pockets in Delhi. We have gone in for a place in Meerut, and then Bareilly, so various other places. So we are excited actually to see one of these projects go through this year, and then I think it will catch on like wildfire.
That's a very good thing happening, because I remember when military farms were taken off, and when I heard that on the news, my first thing is, what can we use it for? Yeah. Because moment you keep that land idle, everybody starts looking at your land, and they want to do those things. So my perception is different, but I'm glad that you are picking up this.
Even the land required for this, for say you want to produce about say 2 tons of CBG per day, what we have discussed is we just recover about 2-3 acres of land is required. So not too much also.
So there are many stakeholders here, sir. So
yeah,
what I'll do is,
sure
once
people are watching
event is over, we'll share with your headquarters a few companies and
that'll be
institutions
great,
which can drive this as well.
Yeah.
Coming from a perspective that it's a military civil kind of a licensed platform as well right now, where do you see are the gaps which you want? You mentioned in the passing that you need some kind of modeling to be done with the industry. They should come up with structured kind of implementation plans. But what's your ask as military if you have to segregate into biofuels and other segments? What are the technology pathways you're looking them to cooperate with? I also heard recently that one of the oil majors, I think BPCL, has worked with you to create something very unique as a fuel proposition.
Yeah.
I would like you to talk about that towards the end, so that there is some understanding of how military civil synergy develops over a period in terms of the requirement.
Yeah. So as I was telling you earlier, I was explaining the way our logistics has been planned, because it is tailor-made to keep the troops operationally ready in the worst of conditions. That said, now if his energy is going to him through a long and tenuous supply chain, I would like him to be self-contained as far as energy needs are concerned. So that's how our idea of putting up a green hydrogen plant in Leh came up. So the idea here is waste to energy is a very low-hanging fruit right now as we see it. So that can be localized into various areas, and then he becomes self-contained instead of me pumping in kerosene and diesel for operating his generators and what have you. So in our case, we look more for custom-made solutions, tailor-made solutions as per the area and the troops deployed. That will be more useful. That's where the industry and the academia can chip in, come up with this thing. Like, you remember in your days also, or when I was on the glacier 30 odd years ago, we used to run on batteries, but now we have small solar plants at places, and that battery in minus temperatures used to not work. So we used to do a very unconventional thing of putting that battery on top of a burning stove. It used to get warmed up, and then we used to go through to our headquarters, things like that. So I think there are many energy requirements which can be met through alternate sources and through customized solutions.
Would like to talk about that fuel, the special
fuel.
fuel?
So now, again, as I was explaining, the fuel, if it reaches a major town like, say, Leh in Ladakh, is not sufficient. I need to take it up to another roadhead. From there, it has to get transshipped into smaller containers. Then it goes on porters, on animals, and so on and so forth. So in collaboration with BPCL, we came up with a project, Sena Sarthi, wherein we identified we made this like a hub and spoke model, but smaller tanks, given the area available, we went in for say 10 to 15 KL tanks. Then beyond that, we came up with smaller capacity FOL Bowsers, say 4 KL, 6 KL, that being taken forward and barrels placed forward, so things like that. So, and we did this in a record time of 3 to 4 months. Before the passes closed, we achieved 1500 kiloliters of underground storage, and that whole sector in area of Kargil is now self-contained, and it is now independent of weather or lines of communications getting disrupted. So that's the advantage.
One last short question, sir. This about this initial part you mentioned about the global upheaval. There was scarce fear mongering in the country in
Yeah.
terms of normal consumers, that how much petroleum and gasoline products we have. But as far as the army is concerned, there has to be a certain limit of the reserves to be retained. I will not ask you to specify what, but are the OMCs able to cope up with that reserve, or where we are?
So, as I was telling, for us, the main thing that impinges and determines how we plan our logistics is that operational readiness has to be maintained at all times, for which we have sufficient reserves. We have a armed forces wide policy of maintaining 150 days worth of sustenance at any given time. We have a MOU with the OMCs. They hold certain minimum stock levels for us, in addition to our normal running maintenance reserves. And we also have guaranteed reserves going beyond that. So, in terms of an MOU, we have these things in place, and it is assured for us. So, if crisis suddenly erupts, for example, Sindoor, I was heading the logistic vertical in Northern Command, and Sindoor just came in. But we were not flustered because all my hubs were well covered. You should, I would like to draw your attention to the period in which this happened. This was April. So Ladakh is, as it is, cut off from the rest of the country. But I had enough reserves to last me till, say, July, August. So I was not too worried. But if it had prolonged, then I had to look for probably aerial resupply or something. It didn't come to that. Same way, when the West Asia crisis struck, my sustenance is more or less still intact. So I'm not too worried.
So it's just a correlation. I never served much, but when I was in Baramulla once, the floods came in Kashmir for the first time probably. And winter,
2014, yeah.
advanced winter stocking was on, and when the floods came, there are two major divisions which look towards Pakistan, and both the sides had not crossed the 25% mark. We were at 26, 27. The other one was at about 12, 13. It's a little difficult terrain. By the time we finished, no competition otherwise, but yes, they had a treacherous terrain, so they finished at about 60. And then all that the general officer talked about, we had to use helicopters and things like that to put stocking for troops. But fortunately, where I was the in charge, for the first time we did 103%. It's on record. 103% is a fun fact for, he's the ADGST, he should take this fun fact back. It was that time, and the current CDS, General Chauhan, was the GOC that time. But having said that, I also generated a bill for my same GOC worth 8.5 lakh rupees on one day for Bisleri water. And I was nearly sacked. I was not sacked in that sense, but in the vocabulary, that what the hell have you done? Why have you served Bisleri where? I said, that mountain, all helicopter Bisleri, because water was not being, traveling there. And the general officer cleared that bill because he had to give us waiver. There was no requirement of any other thing. It happened. But today, I think that division has got Bisleri on their stocking item as well. So I think changes happen. Very proactive armed forces, proactive hierarchy. And please don't worry. The war will be fought for even 3 months, 4 months, 8 months, and there is no dearth of any resource. The army can fight even without weapons if you don't know our army the way we are. So thank you very much, General Sripuram, for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time as well. I think we will collect for that short lunch break. I will cut out a session today. You can announce that bioenergy session on the stage is not required because it's been an overdose today there in the workshop. There is an overdose at 3 o'clock in the round table. There's tomorrow super dose of strategy dialogue. So I think we can skip that part and we can do the honors, please.
Thank you.
That was a power-packed fireside chat on Changemakers, Indian Army in Green and Light Transition. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for for Major General Suraj Sripuram and our moderator, Colonel Rohit Dev. Sir, I request you now to kindly felicitate Major General Suraj Sripuram from Indian Army. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for your valuable contribution to this fireside chat on Changemakers, Indian Army in Green and Life Transition. Thank you so much. Thank you. And as Colonel Rohit Dev has already announced, it's time for us to network over lunch. We request you to kindly join us for lunch in near exhibition area, and we will reassemble here in 30 minutes. Thank you so much.